and good evening. Welcome to Elite Weather Forecasting. My name is Dooley Godot with this weekend's forecast for the Twin Cities and the Upper Midwest. We're going to cover that long-range forecast for the nation, as well as in case you live up here in the Upper Midwest and you're going to be doing some traveling, you might want to know what's going on across the country. So we are going to talk about some things going on across America, particularly that big storm on the East Coast and the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic, as well as in parts of the Great Lakes and the far eastern sections of the Midwest, and that severe weather down in Florida and Georgia and South Carolina. You're saying that severe weather today, you run that risk for tornadoes. So I want to thank you to the wind. Thank you for joining me here in the Windy City. Well, it's just a webcam of the city of Chicago. I really love the city of Chicago. It's 27 degrees right now and partly cloudy skies in the city, in the Windy City. But today the Twin Cities was the Windy City, as it was quite breezy today, and that cold was just bone crushing this morning when I was out with those folks and with the Minneapolis teachers out there, with helping them out with their strike and things out there with my wife. And that cold was just brutal today, but glad to say that things are going to be changing here in the near future. But let's jump into our weather map right now and take a look at what's going on across America. Okay, welcome to our very busy map that we have going on right now across America. As you can see, the National Weather Service has its weather advisories posted from the East Coast to the West Coast for the most part, as we are seeing some things out here on the East Coast. That big storm that rolled out of the Central Plains and out of the Rockies is currently now centered over the Ohio Valley, headed off into the Northeast, and it's going to bring some very heavy snow to many portions of New England tonight and into tomorrow, and that stuff is going to start to head on out here on your Sunday. But in the meantime, it's going to dump some heavy snow across portions of New York and Pennsylvania here, as well as eastern Ohio. You're going to see that heavy snow as well. And you can see this band of heavy snow extends all the way into North Texas, and it's going to dump as much as 16 inches in some locations, especially here if you are in southern Canada, Montreal and Toronto. You could pick up some of the heavier snowfall amounts. We'll see those heavy snowfall amounts move into parts of inland Maine and higher elevations of Maine, New Hampshire and Vermont. You're going to see those elevations. So if you're in Mount Washington, you can pick up about 16 inches of snow. But we're going to zoom in on the Northeast here and really take a look at what's going on here across the Northeast. As you can see, that winter storm warning across most of upstate New York, New Vermont and New Hampshire. In the higher elevation and more in your inland areas, you're going to see that winter storm warning, as well as for you folks in Maine, you also have that winter storm warning. And the National Weather Service feel that you're going to have those gusty northeast winds, as this is taking on some new nor'easter characteristics. So it's going to have those gusty winds out of the northeast, gusting as high as 40 miles per hour. But it's going to dump that heavy snow, and some of you folks are going to see as much as 16 inches of snow. If you're down in Pittsburgh, you're under a winter weather advisory. You're going to be in about the 4 to 8 range. So you're going to have that snow enhanced by that lake effect coming off of Lake Erie and Lake Ontario here. You folks in Syracuse, New York, you folks in Albany and Rochester, New York is going to see that heavy snow, as well as it being mixed with some rain. You're going to have a rain snow mix, but you're going to see that lake effect enhancement of those snow showers in some of your areas. As we slide further down, you get down into Louisville and Indianapolis, as well as Toledo. You folks are going to see that rain change over to snow as the evening progresses. You're going to see that heavy snow moving to Louisville. You see that darker blues right here. This indicates heavy snow, and this is right along the Appalachian mountain range. So you see that snowfall enhanced by those by that interaction with the mountains is really going to cause that lift, as that air moves against those mountains is going to enhance that precipitation amounts. It's going to enhance those amounts as that moves up and get into those mountains and gets lifted. It's called orographic lifting. It's the lifting by the mountains as this frontal boundary makes its way towards the east-southeast. But he's going to see it slide a little bit toward the northeast as the Bermuda High is rather large right here out over the Atlantic. So it's going to kind of deflect this a little bit to the north. So it's going to take on those characteristics of a nor'easter. So it's going to have those gusty winds right along in there as we got a very pronounced deformation band that's running right along into Hot Springs, all the way into portions of Louisiana could pick up a little touch of snow as you're right on the edge of that. As you can see these darker colors here, this magenta here is the freezing rain. So there is a small area that's going to pick up some freezing rain down here in parts of Louisiana as well as Arkansas. The very far eastern section of Texas is going to get in on some of this precipitation as we have a little bit of sleet and freezing rain. We get some rain as we move down into the south here, as we move into Monroe, Louisiana. This area here is my old family stomping grounds, and we got Alexandria. We get a few showers mixed around in here, so we'll see that precipitation, that warm air advection, that theta E advection ride northeast on up to that center of circulation that's currently over the Ohio Valley, that's going to move into steel country as we move on through this weekend. So let's head on back out. But if we look at Florida is going to be our area of concern because of the risk for severe weather. We're looking at those showers and thunderstorms here across North Florida, but tomorrow that's going to be more down into Central Florida as well. As you see these darker colors here. This is that enhanced chance for severe weather. This is an enhanced convective outlook posted by the National Weather Service that's going to shift a little bit toward the north and east tomorrow as we get that chance of, and we have a little bit higher chance of seeing a tornado activity, although it looks pretty quiet at this moment. Not a whole lot going on here as far as severe weather as it has shifted off to the south and east here. So that is a look across the East Coast at what's going on. Let's take a look at what's going on across the upper Midwest here. You see that wind chill advisory is pretty pronounced, pretty wide across the upper Midwest, parts of the upper peninsula of Michigan, as well as Wisconsin, northern Wisconsin, the northern half of Minnesota, the northeastern section, the eastern and northeastern area of North Dakota, and the far northeastern section of South Dakota. You folks in Aberdeen is also under that wind chill advisory. And wind chill advisory is when wind chills are as low as 25 degrees below zero. So and it's pretty brutal out there. It's currently about a 13 below in the Twin Cities right now. You're saying that, but you're just outside of that wind chill advisory. I expect that the fact that this is a large city, it's a little bit warmer, and those buildings kind of interact and deflect a lot of those winds, so you won't feel the wind chill as much. But 13 below is still pretty bitter, but it's outside of that wind chill advisory category, so the Twin Cities won't be included in that wind chill advisory outlook area. As we look over to the West Coast, it's pretty quiet out west. You're seeing high pressure in command across most of the West Coast. We did see some wet weather out in this area a couple days ago. Arizona, we saw some snow across the Flagstaff area and the I-40 corridor here into Albuquerque, Flagstaff. You saw a little bit of snow over the last couple days. That weather system is now up here in the northeast, bringing that heavy snow to you folks. That heavy snow also affected the Denver area, Wichita, Omaha, you folks, St. Louis and Kansas City, you folks also picked up some of that snow, as well as the people out in Chicago, Indianapolis. You're still dealing with that snow, but it's a little bit of a mixed precipitation right now. It's a little bit warmer. So that is a look at what's going across. But we do have some wet weather. Let's take a quick peek at the Pacific Northwest. We got a little bit of rainfall that's moving into the Puget Sound, just north of you folks here in Seattle. But you're going to get in on it at some of that later on this evening. That's going to move into the Seattle area, in the Olympia. All you folks over there along the I-5 and I-90 corridors, you're going to be picking up some of that, and that is going to convert to a little bit of snow as that moves into the Cascades and the higher elevations. You'll see that snow move in, but you'll just see regular rain showers for you folks in the Seattle area. Portland, you're gonna dodge this bullet for this time, so you folks in Oregon are gonna remain dry into this weekend, as well as Southern California. You're gonna remain dry. You may also see those offshore winds develop into Southern California as the Santa Ana start to kick in, which will enhance your risk of a fire danger. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some fire weather warnings posted in parts of the Southwest over the next couple days. So that is a look at what's going on across the nation. Let's jump into some of our other weather maps and more detailed and long-range forecast, shall we? Alright folks, thanks for checking us out on the WSV3 as we checked out some of the latest conditions that's going on across the country. Now we are going to jump into some of our long-range models as well as the local forecast for the Twin Cities. So welcome to Elite Weather. My name is Julie Godot. I'm your meteorologist today, and I'm going to provide these forecasts for you and get you ready for the week ahead and let you know what to expect if you live here in the Twin Cities and the upper Midwest. We're going to tell you about travel conditions this weekend if you're going to be heading out anywhere and you may have to deal with that storm on the East Coast, or if you're headed to the South for a vacation, maybe down in Florida, we'll tell you about the severe weather threat down there. So let's move on ahead. This is our GFS. This is that big storm we're seeing across the East Coast right now as that deformation band really takes shape. Kind of takes on a little bit of a nor'easter. This is a bomb cyclone. You can see it bombing out there. So that gonna drop pretty quick as that storm moves on off by the 13th. So we'll be done with that by Monday and Tuesday. So there's going to be a little bit more snow across the upper Midwest here as another little Alberta clipper or a little piece of energy comes out of the west. But here's our next big weather system that's going to affect you on the 15th down in the south. So if you're down in Florida again, you're going to see that severe weather down across the southeast one more time as that warm air rises up and you get that triple point going right. So once again, you'll deal with that severe weather and that tornado threat once again. That's going to be a powerful little system as that moves on out and moves on up into the northeast there, but it's going to be offshore mostly, but so it's not going to affect too many folks here in the northeast or in the mid-Atlantic states. But this guy is going to be a problem for you folks in the northeast, as you can see that warm front lifting up to the north and we have that cold front. It's going to create another triple point. It's going to have that threat for severe weather across the southeast once again, and this is going to be for the 20th. You're going to see that severe weather again. This might actually bring severe weather up into the northeast this time. You'll see a little bit less snow with this system, but this will become a nor'easter and head off into the north, up into the northeast on your 22nd. And then we get another storm right behind it. It's just storm after storm after storm. And notice how they're coming out of this region right now. That's because we have a little bit of a trough on the east coast, that's on the west coast, that's going to be sending those storms off out of California into the southern plains here, and that's going to form those low pressure centers, and they're going to move on off into the southeast and head up the east coast and create those nor'easters. We get in a little bit of a nor'easter pattern. I wouldn't give these as bona fide nor'easters. They have a nor'easter-like quality, but not quite the same. But as you can see, they are pretty powerful systems. You're just seeing storm after storm after storm, so it's going to be quite busy on the East Coast over the next few days. We're going to take a look at some of the teleconnections that's going to confirm the wackiness that we're going to be seeing across these areas. So you folks in the East Coast, the Southeast, the Mid-Atlantic, and the Northeast, it's going to be kind of quiet here for people in the upper Midwest. We'll see some Alberta Clippers still move over, but they're going to be a little bit further north as they've been over the last few months, so there won't be as many opportunities for snow. We'll see some rain. Actually, what's interesting is that we'll see a nice warm-up for you folks in the upper Midwest today in Minnesota and Wisconsin and stuff. In the Dakotas, we're going to see some 50s coming into next week. We'll take a look at that at that time, okay? Alright, so here we go. Now what we've done here is I'm combining the GFS and the Euro. So this one here is the European, this is the GFS. And what we're looking at is I'm comparing how these two are depicting the storm. As you can see, they're pretty good agreement about this storm, although I think the Euro is a little bit faster with the progression of the storm, but they've both done an excellent job of showing this storm as it moves into the Northeast. So you see it has a nice you see that nice deformation band take place right here, that snow, that heavy band of snow. Many storms this year has had that deformation band forming around that north edge. You get that warm front that lifts up to the north and it kind of stalls out and it occludes, and then you get that cold air that just comes rushing in behind. So you're going to see that deformation band once again as it moves up to the northeast. We get a lot of good convergence going on, especially as this interacts with the Appalachian Mountains, and as you can see it as well on the GFS and the Euro. They're almost identical. The exception is this one's, I think, is a little bit faster on that map. So let's move on ahead and look at our dew point. And if you look at your dew points here along the south, especially in Florida, you're seeing them being in the 60s and dew points in the 70s. That indicates that risk for severe weather. That's why we're seeing those big juicy thunderstorms with a lot of tornadoes. But you see those frontal boundaries come down and push those dew points to the south. So you see that warmer dew points along the south and southeast. As this cycles through again, you'll see that moist air, especially along the southeast. You see these 60s dew points here. That's where we currently are. And this is what's going to happen as that frontal boundary moves through Florida and pushes all that humidity and moisture to the southeast, back into the Caribbean, where it typically should be. But it will rise back up again. If I ran this out further, you'll see the next system that's going to make that juicy air ride back up again. So anyway, that's a look, and you don't see too many high dew points here because it's really cold. That polar air is still in command, but we will see a nice warm up across the upper Midwest. And this is a look at the 500 millibar height. This is our vorticity here. This looks at the spin in the atmosphere, and as you can see here, this weather system is going to move out into the southern plains, and Texas is going to ride up and move up into the northeast and spread a lot of precipitation. This is that. You see how it's going to take on a positive, but it's going to go neutral, and then it's going to try to turn into a nice negative tilt as it spins out into the North Atlantic. It turns negative as it moves off the coast of Maine and New England. It takes on a negative tilt. That indicates intensification when it takes that negative tilt. But as long as it stays a positive, it's going to keep moving through on quickly. But once it turns negative, it's going to slow down in its forward progression, and that low pressure center is going to tighten up. You see that become a closed slow as it moved off into the northeast and on off into eastern Canada there. And here is our height anomalies here. And here again, you see that cold air across the northern plains and the Great Lakes and northeast. And you see that move on off towards the northeast, off into Canada. It's going to take that warm, humid air. You see that's the outer edges of the Bermuda High there. And you see this piece of the polar vortex is one of those lobes from the polar vortex, and you can see that swing on through and take that. But you see how it develops a zonal pattern into next week. This is about the 12th. We're looking at here. This is for your 12th. This is for Saturday, and you see that it kind of takes a more zonal pattern. You get a little bit of a northwest flow, so we're going to stay in the 20s tomorrow, but it's going to be much warmer than it was today, because today we were expected to hit the 20s, but we were only in the teens today. But you're going to see, because we were more into this area, so it was a little bit of that cold Arctic air really sat on top of us today, but it's going to start to move on off, and we move on down the line, you'll see that warmer air. You see this warmer air out west here. You're going to see that's kind of move slide east, and that's going to cover the folks in the upper Midwest, and we're going to see 50s on into the next week. So here is a look at what the temperature anomaly is. This is your departure from normal. So as you can see, many folks in the southeast are going to be below normal, but that's because of all the severe weather that's taking place. They're getting a lot of rainfall that's keeping them cooler, and those storm systems are moving through these areas right now. But what you see here in the upper Midwest, you see all these reds and start to come in. That's because we're going to go above normal. We're going to go well above normal, because our normal temperatures for this time of year is about the mid-30s here in Minneapolis. It should be about 36, 37 degrees, but we're going to be looking at high temperatures next week in the mid-40s to mid-50s. I think it's Tuesday or Wednesday we may hit almost 60 degrees. We're going to make a serious run at that 60, which might be a record temperature for that day. But we're going to keep an eye on this forecast, as I'm really excited about this, because I'm sick of the cold weather, and if I'm going to be helping my wife, and we're going to be out there with the teachers, and because she's a teacher in Minneapolis, and we're going to be out there at the strike activities, I don't want it to be as cold as it was. You see that, how it cold? It was very cold, but we're going to see that warm air really move in and make it quite nice up here. But we will see it cool off in the south as they continue to see those strong storm systems come from the west. Alright, here's a look at some of our telekinetics. This is a look at the North Atlantic Oscillation. As you can see where we are currently now, today is March 11th, but if you look at the NAO, that we are in a positive phase, but it shouldn't be really, because that's not correlating right with that storm that's currently in the area. So this should actually be in a negative phase, but we're looking at it positive here. So that's not really connecting right. But you see how it goes really positive as we move into next week. So this is the 16th here. When we look at the 16th, we're going to be much warmer on the East Coast and in the upper Midwest. So that's a proper thing. But what's happening, there's a delay. But you see how it dips here, and that's where we're coming out of. But we're going to move into that warmer air here in the upper Midwest, and you see that ridging here taking place, and you see it really builds up, and then it goes negative toward the end of the month. See, about the 26th, it goes really negative, and that's when we're going to always keep seeing. And in that stretch of time here from the, what is this, the 16th, about the 18th to the 26th, the 27th, the 28th of March, you're going to see those storm after storm after storm after storm on the East Coast. It's going to keep pounding you, but it's not going to be as cold, because it's going to be warmer storms, because they're going to come from the southern jet stream. They're going to be southern jet stream storms. They're going to get energy from the northern jet stream, but these are not going to originate from the north. They're going to originate from the southwest. And here is a look at the PNA. This is telling us what's going on in the Pacific, and you can see the early part of March that how it was. We had several Pacific storms. We're going to get a kind of a quiet period here in the Pacific Northwest and on the West Coast. It's going to get a little bit quieter, but it's not going to be that warm. But we're going to kind of have some minor disturbances come through over the next week or so across the Pacific Northwest and the West Coast. But those minor systems will move out into the plains and become major systems as they pick up the energy and interact with Gulf of Mexico moisture. So it's going to provide the source for those bigger storms that we're going to see, that's going to make the NAO go negative later on in the month. So here we are, we got to combine. I like to combine these models, and we have the NAO, and we're going to compare it with the PNA, the NAO and the PNA on the bottom. So, but what we're seeing is that these usually like to be opposite of each other. When this goes negative, this we want to see this. Well, actually, I'm not correct on that. Let me be correct on that, because typically we see these go negative because we get a ridge in the center of the nation when both of these are negative. We get a ridge in the Midwest or in the Central Plains, and we have a trough on the east and a trough on the west coast, because these are both negative. But when one was positive, what we would expect is for this to be highly positive and this one to go negative. Then we would be in that nor'easter pattern. That would bring us those East Coast storms that would bring up from the south along the Gulf, that ride up along the Gulf Stream and affect the Boston area, hit them with that heavy winds and snow and sometimes rain. We can get nor'easters that produce rain as well, so they can have nor'easters any time of the year. So, that's what we look for. But what I'm seeing right now is a cold NAO going on into the future, somewhat negative, but both of these are fairly neutral, actually, if I'm being completely honest. We're in a very slightly negative pattern, so it's going to be a little bit cold across the Northeast and a kind of neutral ho-hum across the Pacific Northwest and the West Coast. Nothing significant. This indicates a very zonal pattern, so we're going to see a lot of minor disturbances pass through. It's not going to be too exciting in the Pacific Northwest, which is what you want. We don't want to be extremely positive, because that's like warmth and dry conditions. But so we'll see some precipitation, but it won't be gigantic storms in the Pacific Northwest. At least I don't think at this point, but this can change. So, but at this point, I think we'll see a lot of those storm systems go into the British Columbia and Alaska. All right, we're going to take a look now at the severe weather across the nation, and our area of focus, of course, is going to be across the southeast, especially Florida. Now, this map here is a combination of a lot of parameters: the SIN, the helicity, the CAPE, and all of those things we use to predict thunderstorms. So you get this is our supercell potential right here. And what you saw is when you see that area of low pressure, as this cycles through again, we'll see that potential for severe weather, especially across Florida. Now we'll have some of those parameters here for the Carolinas, North, South Carolina, Georgia, as well as most of the state of Florida. You'll see that here. You'll see that potential here for severe weather, as you can see that CAPE and other severe weather parameters, that thunderstorm juice and tornado juice. You see it really hit across central Florida, and this is what we're going to be seeing for your Saturday. So your Saturday is going to be a busy day across the southeast, especially for you folks in Florida. Tornadoes are definitely a possibility. I would be surprised if we don't see any tornadoes. We did see a tornado a couple days ago. I think it was around Destin, Florida. We saw a tornado, but we will probably definitely see Gainesville, Orlando, Kissimmee, and some of you folks in the central Florida region, all the way down to South Florida, Miami-Dade County. Don't be surprised to see some severe weather in your area as well. You know, when I lived down there, they were famous for that severe, those nasty thunderstorms. There could be some brutal ones down there. So please be weather aware and pay attention to the local news, the radio, and any alerts put out by the National Weather Service. So that weather is going to be pretty brutal on your Saturday. It's going to move on out and be done with by your Sunday, so you'll see calmer conditions on Sunday, okay? But in the meantime, between now and then, you're going to be dealing with that severe weather. So here is the storm impacts so we have Central and North Florida, Central Georgia, North and South Carolina, all right? You folks are going to see thunderstorms. There is an enhanced chance for thunderstorms, especially across Central Florida. You will see severe thunderstorms. No doubt about that. A lot of confidence in that. Tornadoes, I think I should have put a slight, because I think marginal. I think I'm being a little bit too conservative on that. my confidence is going up in the seeing tornadoes. So we're gonna really call it slight, even though it says marginal. A slight chance for hail, as well as a slight chance of damaging winds from those thunderstorms as well. So this is going to be a pretty significant severe weather event on your Saturday. So please be severe weather ready and be weather aware on your Saturday. All right, here's a severe risk analysis, and we have that. Well, let's stand over here. So we have those tornadoes as a big, it's going to be a slight risk for a tornado, as I do have that right here instead of marginal. So damaging wind and threat is moderate, as well as large hail. Flooding is going to be slight, but I think it's going to be more prominent if those thunderstorms affect the areas around the mountains. If it affects the areas along the Appalachians, you can see more flooding, because there's maybe some snow that's going to melt, or that rain is going to be enhanced, could be quite heavy at times, especially with some of those stronger thunderstorms, and it's going to swell some of the rivers and creeks out there. So you're going to see, you could definitely see some flooding. So I think for certain areas, the flooding risk is going to be a little bit higher. So here's a look at the winter weather across America, the Northeast and the East Coast. Once again, here we go. Here's the National Weather Service hazards and warnings. You see that severe storm warning? This is all severe storm warnings all along the East Coast. You see the inland areas of Maine down into New Hampshire, Vermont, New York, Pennsylvania. You're going to see that heavy snow, as well as you folks in Virginia, parts of Ohio, Kentucky, and Tennessee, all the way down into northern Mississippi and Alabama. You can see that heavy snow. It's going to not necessarily be snow for you folks in this area, but it's going to be a lot of freezing rain and sleet. But I think this is the only area that's going to see that predomination of that frozen precipitation in the form of sleet or freezing rain. But you can get as much as a half inch. A half inch is going to be pretty significant. The rest of you folks out here, it's just going to be in a winter weather advisory in the light, in these darker shades, these purples here. You'll see winter weather advisory. Here we got a high wind warning for you folks in South Texas and Southern Louisiana. You see those high winds. That wind chill weather, this is the wind chill advisory for parts of the upper Midwest. This is going to be for your Saturday, so that is going to be much smaller than what it currently is on Saturday as things begin to warm up in the upper Midwest. Again, we got some high winds out across the plains, the high plains of Montana, and this is the mountain areas here, as we got Glacier National Park that's right about there, and you're going to see those high winds through the mountains. And again, we can see those high winds across parts of Oregon as well. This is kind of like the Oregon farmland over here. You'll see those high winds, and again, those high winds in Southern California. This is going to be Santa Ana winds that's going to kick up on your Saturday, so you may see an enhanced risk for fire dangers there. I wouldn't be surprised to see the National Weather Service issue a red flag advisory for these areas as well, especially out in the deserts and those winds that's coming through the mountains and the passes. So if you're in the Cajon area in Southern California, or the Mount Baldy, or you're in the Riverside, San Bernardino, the Inland Empire, you're going to definitely see those gusty winds gusting up to 40, 50 miles per hour in Southern California. So that is a look at what the National Weather Service thinks we're going to be driving us nuts this weekend. So let's move right on along. This is our snowfall forecast, and we're seeing that snow start to accumulate across the Northeast. And you see how that's mostly over the inland sections before it moves to the East Coast. Now it's going to be less because this is going to warm. The column is going to be a little bit warmer, so some of this is going to mix with rain for a time. So the accumulations are going to be slightly less if you're in the Boston area, Hartford, Providence, the NYC, Connecticut. For you folks in the Mid-Atlantic and the big cities on the East Coast, you're going to get a little bit less snowfall because you're going to see a lot of rain as this warms up. But the heavier snow is going to be in the upstate areas of New York, the western areas of Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Rochester, Albany, New York. You're going to pick up the more snowfall. You're going to see about 6 to 8 inches. But if you folks in Maine and Vermont, Mount Washington, and New Hampshire, you're going to see that 16 inches. And if you're in Canada, you're definitely going to pick up those heavier snowfall totals. but we're not going to see too much. We're going to pick up a little bit of snow here in the northern sections of Minnesota. We're going to pick up but this is less than 6 inches, about 3 to 4 inches of snow up there as well. And this is going through the entirety of the weekend, okay? So here's I went to risk analysis. As you can see here, where you're seeing that big storm across, this is the impacts of that big storm on the East Coast. So it's hitting a line of the Ohio Valley and the Great Lakes sections of the Northeast. So Lake Huron, Lake Ontario, it's going to enhance some of that snowfall as you get in that west wind, as that air gets pulled into that storm system. So it's pulling that cold air down out of Canada, and it's pulling it into that, wrapping it around that area of low pressure that's going to be sitting right about here on your Saturday. So you can see the impacts of that snowstorm, and now here you see that snowfall total of that deformation band of heavy snow. Okay, so that is a look, and this is what the snow potential is going to be high. Freezing rain is low, it's going to be only in the far southern sections here. In the south, you'll see that freezing rain a little bit, and a little bit of sleet as well. So there's a slight chance of that, and the wind is going to be moderate to high. It's a lower range high, maybe high moderate, because we could see some wind gusts as high as 40 miles per hour, particularly in the Northeast. And if you're in the mountains in New Hampshire, Vermont, inland sections of Maine, you can see those winds pick up, because you're going to be where that center of low pressure is for tomorrow. So you're going to see those 40 mile per hour winds. Might actually be in the blizzard category. Winds are over 35 miles per hour, but that has to last for more than 3 hours with heavy snow. So we're going to keep a look on the National Weather Service hazards and warnings that they post. Maybe we might pick up a blizzard warning or two. We'll see. We'll have to wait and see. All right, so let's move on ahead. Here is the storm impacts for New England. All right, let's find me a good place to stand here. New England, the Mid-Atlantic, the Appalachians, and the Tennessee Valley. You're going to pick up that snow and enhance snowfall expectation, marginal sleet, marginal freezing rain, and a slight risk for that heavy wind. But the wind is only really going to affect the areas in the New England, the inland sections of New England. You'll see those heavy winds. Okay, for the rest of you, not too bad as far as the winds are concerned. So let's move on ahead. Here's a look at some of our airport delays, where we're seeing the most significant delays. We're seeing them in Pittsburgh right now, where you can be delayed up to 15 minutes, as well as in John F. Kennedy, 15-minute delays. But the delays are about an hour and a half if you're flying to South Florida. If you're going to West Palm Beach or the Fort Lauderdale or Miami, it's an hour and a half delay because of severe weather in the south. But if you're leaving from Boston Logan, the delays are about 15 minutes right now. So that is a look at what's going on in some of the major airports in the Northeast or New England, especially in the Mid-Atlantic states. So it's about 15 minutes really across the board, maybe 30 minutes in some locations. So if you're in like Buffalo or leaving from that airport, you might be 30 minutes behind, okay? So here is a look at the local forecast for your Twin Cities right now and the upper Midwest. You like my new logos? Check out my logos. Welcome to Elite Weather, everybody. My name is Dooley Godot, bringing you the best weather forecast on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So you can follow me on all those social media platforms. I do post daily weather forecasts on all of them, especially TikTok. It's my favorite for the daily weather forecast. So just hop on over and follow me in all of those locations, because I will appreciate it, and I'll just show you love, and I'll keep bringing you the best weather forecasts around, okay? Nobody do it like your boy Dooley here does do it, okay? All right, so let's keep on moving right here. Let's take a look at what's going on across the Twin Cities. It's currently 11 degrees in the Twin Cities. This is the temperature at the airport, because the airport is like our official temperature for the entire area, even though each individual location might have a degree or two difference, but we go by for the record books 11 degrees at the airport. And we have a dew point right now of -2. The humidity is at 56%. The wind is out of the northwest at 10 miles per hour. That little bit of wind can be brutal. As you can see, that -2 degree dew, that wind chill. The wind chill is 0 right now. It's good. When you get those gusts, it can go below that. But right now, we're looking at a wind chill of 0. No heat index right now because I wish there was a heat index, but not today. 10-mile visibility. The barometric pressure is 30.23 inches and rising. So we're going to see that weather only improve over time as we get higher barometric pressure. Sunny skies across the area. But I think the sun is just now starting to set across the Twin Cities right now. Well, in about 30 minutes, the sun will be setting. But we have a sunrise tomorrow at 6:33. The sun will set tomorrow night at 6:12 p.m. Okay? All right, here's your Saturday forecast for the Twin Cities, Minnesota. We're going to have a daytime high tomorrow of 26 degrees as we try to start warming up. And we're going to see those temperatures rise, especially in the evening. We'll see temperatures be in the mid-20s overnight, so it's only going to lose 2 degrees as we're going to see about a 50% chance of showers move in as we get a stupid little Alberta clipper that's going to move in from the west. That's going to be very light dusting of snow that's going to last into the first part of your Sunday, so we will keep an eye out for a little bit slick spots on the roads, but it's not going to really amount to anything. We're going to be less than an inch of snow, a dusting to a ½ inch of snow to be expected. So as we move on and look at what your Sunday look like, so the Sunday is going to be partly cloudy across the Twin Cities with a higher temperature of 42. So we're going to start to warm up across the Twin Cities. Going to be nice. That 42 is going to feel great, especially when we go to church Sunday morning. It's going to be excellent. So tomorrow night, we're going to see some snow showers move in about right after midnight or so. We're going to start to see maybe 2-3 a.m. a 40% chance of snow showers. 29 degrees for the overnight low. And let's take a look at what we got here. Here's a look at some cities from other cities for your Saturday across the upper Midwest. If you're traveling to Chicago on your Saturdays, mostly sunny during the day, we'll pick up a few snow showers tomorrow night. Daytime high of 23 with a low temperature of 22. So Milwaukee as well, sunny skies in the morning or during your daytime. We'll pick up a few snow showers in the evening as that Alberta clipper works its way across. Daytime high of 21 with an overnight low of 19. Then for Des Moines, we also have the Quad Cities with a high of 33 in Des Moines and a low of 26. Some clouds in the evening and overnight. Same thing for Des Moines. 26 for your daytime high as well there. So it's a few degrees cooler from between Des Moines and the Quad Cities. So here's the 5-day forecast for the Twin Cities and southern Minnesota. You're going to see a few snow showers on Monday, but a temperature of 38. So this is more going to be of a mix. Maybe some rain with a few snowflakes moving in on there, especially in the morning hours. We warm into the 50s, 51 for our high on Tuesday. Hot dog, I am so excited. And look at that 58 for your Wednesday as we really make a run at that 60. I hope that it's a little bit less clouds, then we'll hit that 60 if we can kick out some of those clouds. But we'll keep our fingers crossed. It falls back a little bit on your Thursday as we have a high temperature of 49 degrees with a few more clouds around. Same for your Friday, 48 for a high temperature with some partly to mostly cloudy skies. Those overnight lows will be in the mid-30s. So we're just going to be right outside and maybe dipping and dodging around that freeze thaw area there, because we want to keep these overnight lows above 32 degrees because any snow that melts during the day, you know, it's going to make those puddles as they run out, that's from that snow runoff, going to refreeze overnight, and it's going to be quite slippery if you step on one of them puddles and you don't have your wits about you. But we'll see those 50s creep back into the forecast on Saturday and Sunday as we have a high of 51 and we hit that 52 on your Sunday. So we'll see that overnight low for your Sunday is going to be about 35 degrees, but it'll be overnight low of 33 on your Saturday. That is a look at the 5-day forecast across the Twin Cities as we look forward to a much warmer weather pattern coming up into your next week. So when the teachers out there and they have to finish their picketing or their strike, they can do it in much better weather conditions than they had to fare with this week. So keeping my prayers crossed for a deal to be reached between the teachers union and the school district. But for the most part, that warmer weather is going to be wonderful. And I was looking down the road into the long range forecast. That's going to be pretty consistent. It's not just a few days of warmer air. At least what I'm seeing at this point here for the Twin Cities, at least, we're going to see upper 40s and 50s for the next several weeks. I almost going to be ballsy here and say that I think we might be done with the extreme cold weather. But it's not to say that we can't get slapped with a cold snap in April. But I can check out through the end of March. And looking at the long range data, it looks pretty good for 40s and 50s, even some 60s. I think I might even be able to squeeze out a 60 or two before we end the month of March. So March is going to fare much better than I thought it would be. But that is it for now. Thanks for checking me out. And that is Elite Weather. My name is Dooley Godot. And I hope you really like my new logo and the new name of my channel. It's now Elite Weather with Dooley Godot. I've changed my channel a million times. I'm surprised they keep letting me change the name of my channel. But I'll keep trying to find a brand that works for me that I think will make sense and will catch on with folks. But we're going to go with Elite Weather. I really like that because I'm going to provide you elite level weather forecasting here. So I'll be back later on in a couple days. We're going to take a look at how this storm is fared and how we did forecasting it, as well as look at more long-range weather forecasts. And I'll also have my daily weather forecast Monday through Friday on TikTok and all social media platforms. And remember, you can follow me over there on TikTok. The link is in the description of this video, and it's also in my channel bio. You can follow me on all social media platforms. Please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Leave your comments down below in the comment section. Tell me what you would like for me to talk about on these weather forecasts, any weather questions that you might have, or any ideas for a video about something related to weather or planetary or earth science that you would love to see or know about. Alright, thanks for watching me today. I'll be back later in the next video. Have a good weekend and be safe out there. God loves you and I do too. I'll see you later.